Hi, I'm Tom. I'm here with Madeline today. Our church is doing outreach at this house, and we're doing lots of painting. As you can probably see, we're not the nicest looking today. We got paint on our hands. Show them, Madeline.
Oh, yeah.
She's been in the closet painting for a while, and Bayside's actually doing 85 outreaches in our area here this week, and Rhoda and I are doing 7 of them, leading, helping out with that, and we're so blessed to meet people like Madeline here, who helps with on staff at Bridge of Life Ministry. So can you share a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. So Bridge of Life is a faith-based nonprofit that supports foster and adoptive families in Sarasota, Manatee, and DeSoto counties. So we do that by providing a mix of tangible and community resources. So essentially providing those day-to-day things that families need while also helping them to build up a community of trauma-informed individuals who can support them on their journey with kiddos that come from hard places and have relational trauma and that sort of thing. So just really wrapping around them and providing that support from both sides.
Wow. And I can tell you, just that interacting with her this morning, she does really good at that. This girl, she's hilarious for one thing, but has a huge heart for young people. And tell us a little bit about how you got involved in this. Why foster ministry and helping with kids?
Yeah, absolutely. So I lived with my biological family until I was about 10, 11 years old. And from there, I actually was placed in out-of-home care, and I lived with, I believe it was about 7 different families.
Wow.
From the ages, of 11 to 15. And so I was adopted when I was 16 by a friend of mine's family, was able to finish out high school with them. But, for a large portion of my formative years during my adolescence, I was in a really unstable position with just being in several different homes and not really having that stability and consistency. But I did have people who, helped me to see that I didn't have to be just another statistic, essentially. And so from there, I was able to just grow into the person I am today. And so it's always just been my passion to be able to be that person for someone else and to give back within this community, especially, one of the biggest things I struggled with being in that space growing up was that I felt like a lot of the adults around me, they would tell me things and I always would say, you don't get it, you don't know what it's like. And so I think that being able to kind of relate to a lot of the kiddos that are in this space and say, hey, I do get it because I was there, I was doing what you're doing. I had, it's a really hard challenge to kind of understand if you haven't been there. And so I just always thought it would be such a blessing to be able to be part of that change and impact and, being there for those kids who need it.
Wow, so good. Thank you so much for what you do.
Yeah.
And you and I were talking earlier about how you came to faith. So share a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think when you're in that space growing up, it can be really easy to doubt God's love for you.
Yes,
You
of course.
feel it's that abandonment is amplified, the neglect that you experience. You don't know what that feeling of being unconditionally loved is. And so when you hear of God, making you without any mistakes in his image and having unconditional love for you, you're kind of looking around at your situation and saying, well, I'm a little bit confused. I don't know what this is. But so I think it can cause a lot of doubt and beyond just doubt, rejection. And so that was a lot of what I experienced was, being in a place of saying, well, God, if you love me and you're there for me, why am I going through this? Why am I so miserable? And why am I struggling to, just survive on a daily basis? And so, over time when I was younger, it was one of those things where I pushed further and further away. And it wasn't until I got older that I started looking back at all these moments that I thought God wasn't there, and I realized how he placed me in positions or in front of people who got me to be where I am today. Because, there's such a small percentage of kids who grew up in a situation like mine who even make it out of high school and go to college. And the fact that I was able to be where I am today, now graduating with a master's degree, working in a nonprofit, heading up being able to serve these communities that I once grew up in, it's just one of those things where you can't even wrap your brain around how that's possible. And it really opened my eyes because I learned that it's possible through the Lord and the tools and resources that He had given me, even when I thought that He wasn't there, because I was expecting in my mind Him knocking on my door and showing up and saying, "Hey, Madeline, I'm here." But, it's one of those things where in the moment you may not see it, but then being able to look back and see how the Lord has just moved in my life so immensely. It was one of those things where, it was over time. I think I just was like, wow, maybe, He was there all along, and I wanted it to look one way, but He had other plans. It looked another way, and now I've grown into the person I am today, and I'm so grateful because I wouldn't change a thing. Back then I would have changed a lot of things, but today I'm so blessed to be able to say that the Lord did move me through my life on a journey that shaped me into the person that I can be proud of today, who also has the ability to impact the lives of other people and just show children who are in this space right now that it does get better, and that you can be the person that you think is completely out of the realm of possibilities, and you can have such a beautiful, amazing, and blessed life regardless of whether you get adopted or you have the biggest family or you've got just you and the community that you build. That's just the biggest thing. And so I think that's kind of how I came to my faith, is just noticing those little moments where God moved in ways that are just unexplainable to anyone else. I can't credit anybody except for Him for getting me to where I am today. So
Wow, man, what an amazing testimony that is. And you're an amazing person, I just got to tell you. It's so easy in life, isn't it, to get stuck and look at what we don't have, or where we don't want to be, or where we want to be and where we're not, and maybe the grass is greener on the other side. All these thoughts that of all ages that we have these things, right? But you were able to press through a lot of those feelings and see in the midst of the Lord was with you. And as you were talking, I think about this verse, and a lot of us know it, Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And sometimes that means that we have to look past some of those things that we don't understand and see that God indeed is working, and that's what you did. And He's, like we said, the hardships you've had has made you who you are. So now you do understand people, and you have an amazing ministry that you can speak volumes to people. There's so many people going through what you've gone through, and they need people like you to understand them and share that it's going to be okay. You can go through the other side, and there are a lot of good people out there, and also to plug in for foster care and adoption is so needed today. Also for just serving. I mean, this is how we met today, just to be able to serve together. And we weren't meant to be isolated or on our own. We were meant to go and serve and be part of a bigger family. And one more thing, you and I were talking about some funny things, and you talked to me about a purse that you bought one time. So why don't you share about that? This is a good lesson, but a funny story.
So when I got my first adult job and I was making a salary and getting the biggest paychecks that I had gotten, which in hindsight were really not that big, but with my first adult purchase, I wanted to buy myself a designer bag. So I walked into the Louis Vuitton store with my friend, and I swiped my card for $1,800 to buy a purse that was about this big. And I thought it was the greatest accomplishment of my life. I was like, oh, I grew up poor, I didn't have this. I was, I thought Applebee's was a gourmet restaurant when I was growing up. So I never thought I would be owning a Louis Vuitton bag. And I was so pumped for about a week after buying it. And after that week passed, I was like, why did I buy this bag that's the size of my hand with my fingers stretched out? I can't even fit my phone with my car keys in it. It's the most useless thing that I've spent this money on, and it's the same as a month of rent right now. And so, I ended up, I probably kept that bag in a closet somewhere for about 2 years
Whoa.
until I decided one day I was gonna just sell it on Facebook Marketplace, and I got about a quarter of the cost back for it, and I just used it to pay bills, and I've never once missed that bag. Now I've got my Trader Joe's bag from the grocery store that I like lug all my stuff around in. But it was just really eye-opening that, I thought that the meaning of success was to be able to live a very fancy lifestyle of having these nice things where people can look at you and say, oh, that person's successful.
Right.
And then I realized that you can be really bummed and lonely and have a lot of money.
Yes.
And I feel more rich in life now, having the job that I have, the community I have, the faith I had, than I ever did walking around for that week with that tiny little expensive purse. So, moral of the story is don't buy designer bags. Unless they're really big, but that's a different one.
I love that. I think that's a good message for us all to hear as well. Well, hey, we got to get back to work in there. We got another crew coming in here for the second shift. But man, I hope this message really resonates with you. So many parts of it. But thank you,
Yeah, absolutely.
Madeline, for all that you've come through and how you're such a champion for this ministry now and doing so well and so fun to hang out with. And listen, today, if you're out there and you're lonely or you can resonate with her story, connect with us online. We'd love to hear how we can help with you. And know that God is there for you. You don't have to be ever alone. That no matter where you are, what circumstance you are, that God loves you very much, and He wants to bring you into His family. So we pray God's blessings upon you. And also, you can go to our website, saltandlight.live. There's also free resources on there for you, and check it out to build your faith, train for ministry. Have a wonderful day. God bless you, and thank you again, Madeline, and Bridget Life Ministry.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.